All right, so we're working off of this idea of this creativity test from the 1970s. And they'd actually give this out to people and try to assess and measure how creative they were based on what they would do or see with these lines. So we are working with this idea of developing original drawings from starter doodles. So you get a squiggle, you try to see something in it, maybe the shoulder and someone's hair. We're going to hide those marks in our drawing. Or if you can't see something in the mark, then I said inject your personal interest. Do things you like and make them fit. We talked about that yesterday. What I want to talk about today is gathering visual references to improve your drawing. All right? An example of that would be this. If these two marks make you think ladder, what we want to do is go beyond this. I don't want it to be a line. I actually would rather it be a shape. So we double the lines and make it into a shape. But even this is really sort of immature as far as the drawing is concerned. And I can tell this person is relying purely on their imagination, which is not always a bad thing. But if we're going to be doing surrealism, remember, you got to get the real in surrealism. All right? I should see all your eyes on the screen right now. So we're going to go from this idea to Googling a reference. And you can kind of find whatever one you feel is the most interesting. Find one that has maybe a dynamic point of view, or maybe it creates an interesting balance or interesting motion in your piece. Definitely choose one that shows a light source, where you can see, hey, the light is coming from the top left here because each rung on my ladder has a highlight and a core shadow. Actually, it might be coming from directly above because I actually see a cast shadow from each rung onto the leg of the ladder right there on that inner side. It shows details. It shows texture. I can see that this is actually a wooden ladder. So these are things that when I go to shade it with ink that I can describe and be more descriptive in my drawing, therefore getting the real and surrealism. So remember the apple. Remember that exercise we did, seeing versus knowing, observing versus memory. Because there's going to be some substantial difference in your drawing if you can use a reference. The other thing, when we do the rundown of our must-haves, I said we must incorporate or hide the lines. You must fill the entire box. You must have a surreal element of either distortion or juxtaposition. And you must gather reference images. So, when we talk about this now, I could start doing my ladder from my reference form. I could show texture, I could show lighting, I could show shadows. So that reference will help me make my ladder go from two lines, or even the shape, into this. And then if I want to introduce a surreal component, that's where the imagination comes in. Maybe then I distort it, or maybe then I add something onto it by grabbing a word from the basket, or interjecting something I like, or finding something in a book, or looking on that sketchbook list and finding an item to put together, to combine into this unreal combination. So all of a sudden, I very easily go from those two marks into something that's going to be more substantial. All right? So there's a quick rundown on how to use a visual reference to really take your drawing to a more sophisticated state.